Fantastic. Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2023 chapter update for JMU Federal Dukes. My name's Mike Battle, and I'll be your host for today. And we're really excited to share about so much about what we've been doing as a chapter, some of the progress and the plan and the strategy that is leading this organization moving forward. I want to bring up a few slides here so that we can march through this. Bear with me just a second so I can find share. Great. I'm assuming everybody can see these slides. Are we good?
Yep, I see, Mike.
Fantastic. So let me start out by, first of all, making you aware of some of the technology reminders. If you've been on any of these calls in the past, you understand there's sort of a setup on this. We're trying to keep the video and sound and the images aligned properly. But most important, from when we get to the Q&As, we really would love to hear from you. Get any chats, get any questions or points you want to raise into our chat so that we can, as a team, try and get these things answered for you. But again, really excited to be able to share what we're doing with you today. So our agenda for today is pretty straightforward. The purpose of this conversation is really to share with you what we're doing as an organization. Then we want to talk more specifically about what this marketplace, what's driving us as a chapter, and the efforts that we have in place and the strategies that we're utilizing. We're going to do an overview of the JMU Federal Dukes and go into real detail about what we've done to this point and what our plan is moving forward and the activities associated with our efforts. And then we want to talk about how you can help and talk more specifically. In order for us to accomplish what we have planned, we're going to need some arms and legs and some people who are also committed to this particular area. There'll be some upcoming events and then a specific call for volunteers to support our efforts going forward. So that's what we're going to cover today. Let's start out by, first of all, introducing our leadership team. We have a chapter leadership team made up of alums who bring tremendous experience in the federal marketplace. It is a group of folks that are, again, engaged and committed to helping James Madison University take advantage of what we see as a tremendous opportunity. In today's session, besides myself, you're going to hear from Lisa Munn and Chris Richards. I think Chris is going to be doing part of this today. Is that true, Lisa and Matt? Well, if we don't have Chris on board, we certainly have Matt with us as well. But you can see the names in the backgrounds of the folks that we have involved in today's session. I want to start us out with a conversation about where we are in as an organization in terms of our purpose. What we're trying to do, what we are doing as an organization, is to provide fellow JMU graduates in the federal market really some understanding of our progress to date and the ways that you can engage to leverage the federal market. It is a tremendous opportunity. It impacts not only alums, but also our students and our faculty. And we want to make sure that we are taking advantage of this opportunity. Today's purpose is to share with you what we're doing, what our plan is, and also, frankly, to solicit some feedback as to whether or not you think we're headed in the right direction and focused on the right things. So from there, I want to turn this over to Lisa, who's going to talk more specifically about the federal market, what's driving us here. And so we can lay that foundation as we then share what we're doing about it. Lisa?
Ready. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Shea Munt. I'm the co-founder of the Pulse of GovCon, and I'm the communications chair for the JMU Federal Dukes. And like Mike said, I'm going to be talking about the federal market because this is the context for why our organization matters. So the federal market footprint, if you are not living under a rock and you pay attention to our federal government at all, then you probably hear some really large dollar values being thrown around when it comes to the federal budget. The federal market footprint for employees and organizations is approximately $2.5 trillion. Now, that is not all contract money. It's broken down by grants, contracts, and salaries for our federal employees. So we have approximately 1.1 billion for grants, 680 billion for contracts, that was 1,000. So yeah, that's a big number right there. Sorry. And then 648 billion for salaries. So we're really stretched between these sort of three components of what the budget encompasses. And it goes to a couple different locations here. We have approximately 2.2 million employees in the federal government, 90,000 companies, and 260,000 grant recipients. So when we talk about the federal market and what you can get involved in if you're a student or if you're looking towards the contracting market or the federal market, there is a wealth of opportunity. Now, breaking that down even further, we want to talk about Virginia because JMU is an institution in the state of Virginia. And we're going to, down the road, be talking a little bit about the DC metro area as well. But right now, just for Virginia, the federal ecosystem and footprint is approximately $155 billion. So we have approximately 140,000 federal employees located in Virginia, and that's about 6% of the federal workforce. We have $90 billion in federal contract spending that happens in the state of Virginia. And Virginia is the #1 recipient, receiving 13% of all contracting. We also have approximately $23 billion that go towards grant funding for Virginia recipients, $42 billion in salaries paid to federal employees in the state of Virginia, 90,000 organizations receiving federal contracts in our beautiful state. And we move this towards Maryland, Virginia, and DC, but there are approximately 150 colleges and universities that receive federal grant funding within the DC metro area. So for those federal grant awards for major Virginia and DMV universities in 2022, this is looking at some of the funding in millions across different organizations and different institutions. So Johns Hopkins is really leading the charge up here. You can see some other familiar Virginia schools like UVA, VCU, JMU, ODU, and then at the very end, we have JMU. And so something that we would really like to focus on as an organization, the JMU Federal Dukes, is that JMU could dramatically increase funding through more investment in pursuing federal grants. Because these 150 plus DMV colleges and universities generated $3.6 billion in funding from those grants. And Virginia colleges in particular generated $1.2 billion in funding from these federal grants. So there is a lot of opportunity for JMU to get more involved in the grant side. Now, where are these institutions receiving grants from? Well, the federal government has a lot of opportunity for grants, and you can see here sort of a breakout based on the university and which agency they're receiving grant funding from. So the dark blue is HHS, which is the largest one in here. NSF, if you're working with science, we have some DHS, energy, USDA, USAID, Commerce, Interior, a bunch of different opportunities. But as you can see here, JMU has really only tapped that NSF and HHS market and only the teeniest bit. So if you're comparing this against other universities in Virginia, you can see that JMU has a long way to go.
Well, thank you, Lisa. One of the things we were pretty stunned about as we started to sort of build our strategy and understand what we were doing in this what our efforts need to be in this particular space was, the recognition that this is not new. This is not unique to JMU trying to play a role here. As you can see with the grants, a lot of other institutions have played a role. But what surprises is several institutions have recognized the value of engaging the federal market. Universities from across the country are setting up shop in the DMV to take advantage of this market opportunity for its students, alumni, and faculty. And this is just a snapshot, a small snapshot of institutions operating campus extensions in the DMV focused on the federal government. It's astonishing to see what people have already recognized and what their investments have been to take advantage of this. And if you simply look at in-state institutions alone, what this represents is the level of commitment, the programs and presence that our peer institutions in the state already have. And what this looks like is, what this turns out to look like is students being attracted to those institutions because it prepares them for that kind of work, for the workforce and the job opportunities there. Faculty working closely with those students, but also close to the research grant opportunities in the DMV. You've got a variety of alumni that are creating networks associated with their institutions because their institutions are playing a role in lifelong learning and engagement for them. And we see this as an opportunity for JMU. We have a tremendous number of alums in the DMV. You can't throw a stick and not hit somebody driving around with a JMU sticker on the back of their car in the DMV. So we think this is a great opportunity for JMU. It's a great opportunity for us as alumni to help develop communities that allow us to be able to create networks that will drive opportunities for across individuals' careers. So that's the opportunity. And we've talked about that. Now let's talk more specifically about what we are doing in Federal Duke. Really want to share with you what we're doing to take advantage to help JMU seize this opportunity as an alumni chapter. So we have an interesting distinction. We're the first alumni chapter focused on professional development and networking in a particular vertical. And we took this mission on as we all sat around together as the leadership and said, my goodness, this is such a great opportunity we're not taking advantage of. Our vision as a chapter is really to help JMU drive a perspective that says that we're recognized as a source of talent and expertise in helping federal government protect and serve the nation. You would be astonished at the number of JMU graduates who are in senior leadership positions as either government employees or as contractors in the DMV area. And the fact that there's a lack of connective tissue between all of them is one of the things we're trying to address as an alumni chapter. We are also trying to have a real direct impact on not only alumni, but faculty and students, and prepare them to have a vital role to take advantage of the job opportunities, the grant opportunities that exist in the federal market. Our value to JMU, we see it as really trying to establish JMU as a destination instead of an option for students and federal grants. In a time when there's going to be much more competition for students as our population changes, universities, colleges and universities have to have a distinctive proposition to get kids to come and to get faculty to stay. So we look at this as a way of sort of enhancing what JMU represents by adding to it an ability to take advantage of the largest employer in this region, the largest employer close to the university. We want to be a lens, and in order to do that, we want to be a lens into the federal government marketplace. We as a chapter are really focused on providing our insight and our resources and our community to JMU so that they can better have a sense of what's changing, what's happening in this market, how should the curriculum adjust to what some of the priorities are there in the federal government marketplace. How can we help as of now, and the next bullet here, applied research, how can we help our faculty, which now as an R2 institution, it's become much more important, much more visible. How can we help them take advantage of the grant opportunities that exist in the federal government? And it's fairly significant. It's where the DMV is where these grant decisions are made. So we want to be an asset to the faculty in terms of helping them understand opportunities. We want to be a differentiated draw for future students, which I've alluded to before. In order for kids who grew up in the DMV, whose parents and brothers and sisters, siblings, who have all had careers that have touched the federal marketplace, they see the value in that kind of experience. Well, they want to go to an institution that's going to prepare them for that. We want to be that destination. We want to create that draw for those kids to come to JMU because they know that it's going to prepare them for expansive career opportunities. We also want to expand services across the board from curriculum to professional development to the on-campus experience in higher education by virtue of our insight and knowledge about what the federal government market needs. So these are all areas where we as a chapter are focused. It's driving our activities as a group. So our strategic priorities, we love this terminology. We want to create this virtuous circle that benefits alumni, faculty, students, and our nation. So that means increasing awareness. That means preparing future employees. And that also means building pathways. That's all part of that sort of robust workforce ecosystem where, I wear this JMU football ring all the time. You'd be amazed at what it does to be able to have a conversation with somebody who is also a JMU alum in the federal government and share in that experience about being a JMU student and having spent time in the Valley. And creating that network is extremely important across all of these different aspects of the career experience. So increasing awareness, preparing future employees, and building pathways are really our strategic priorities as an alumni chapter. So how are we doing that? Well, we have sat down and really laid out sort of a plan, a strategy that has specific measurable outcomes that we track as we move forward as a chapter. This chart articulates what we are focused on over time. We started out really sharing values to in service to others. Our whole mantra about Duke's open doors. We are here to be a part of that opening door thing, and we kind of built our story around it. And that was a key element of what we started out with, as well as alumni in highly influential roles. We started out with that foundation. In 2022 and 23, we began to focus on how do we leverage that foundation. First of all, creating a faculty liaison program is something that we defined that we needed to do at the first part of this year. We also wanted to be sharing success stories about our alumni. And that means, kind of giving you a picture of the art of the possible in terms of success in this market. We wanted to develop a comprehensive database of industry participants, start to build that network and create some connective tissue between all of the people who have a JMU experience and who are connected in this space. So now we are currently very much focused, and you see where these stars are. I'm going to go into more detail about specifically what we're doing in these areas, but in large, it starts out with engaging faculty leaders with government industry skill needs, internships, and grant opportunities. That's the manifestation of this liaison program. This is really the kind of outcomes that we need to be able to accomplish in building that liaison program. We want to market the concept of JMU Federal Dukes broadly. You will see all manner of things that we're doing that are events and activities designed around that. And then developing engagement programs that bring together graduates and students. That is a big part of what we're trying to accomplish in 22 and 23. And again, I'll touch on the outcomes of it. In addition, moving forward, we're really focused on starting to look at 24, expanding our forums and network opportunities, really trying to structure what a fundraising engine looks like in this kind of environment with this kind of alumni, so that we can fund a lot of the other activities that we think will create the right outcomes. We want to develop curriculum that positions graduates for success. This is all part of our liaison and engagement with faculty. We want to create an identity for JMU leading to jobs and grants. We need to establish that we are here. This is JMU, this isn't the purview of UVA, George Mason, and all of these other schools that currently have a presence here. We're stepping in because we have a long established presence of senior leadership in this market. We're now, we've been a sleeping giant. We're going to take advantage of what we have. And we are really focused on supporting the university in its analysis of a substantial presence in the DMV. We think that's important. The university is working on analyzing what that looks like. We want to be an asset in that analysis with a goal of establishing ourselves out in this market as a known quantity with strong alumni and skilled graduates coming out of the school. So we've got these success metrics, and I'll talk more about these when we get into each one of the areas that we're very much focused on. But what you can see is that we are growing substantially as a program, as an alumni chapter. So progress to plan. I just described a lot of the plan activities. Let's talk about exactly what we're doing and our progress so far in the 22-23 timeframe. So we've been able to meet directly with the faculty and deans to begin to establish that liaison program. We've gotten great reception from the academic side of the university, as well as the alumni support infrastructure at the university. And as a result, we're now building that one-on-one liaison program with each one of the deans, so that they have a conduit into what's happening in this space. And we're able to leverage that conduit to share what kind of certifications students should be getting, what kind of experiences educationally should they be getting to better position them in the federal market to have high income jobs when they come out. We're supporting the DC Career Track events and happy hours. We've had CEO roundtable webinars. We've established, as I mentioned before, these one-on-one connections that's all part of creating this faculty liaison program with our leadership, so that we have a way of doing what JMU really does, supporting what JMU really does well, and that's educate these kids. We are also in the process of sharing lots of successful alumni stories, and you'd be so amazed at how many folks are, as I mentioned before, in high-level positions in the federal government, as well as in senior leadership positions at federal contractors, from CEOs on down. And we've been sharing those stories so that people can understand we're a force. So far we've done 13 alumni spotlight articles. We're going to continue that program because we think there's a lot of value in understanding how you get from Shorts Hall to the boardroom. And there are a lot of stories out there about folks who have made that journey, and all coming from very different backgrounds. There are some that come out of the College of Business, but there's a lot of them that come out of a variety of different programs at JMU. And that's a key attribute of the federal market. They have a need for skills that come out of just about every academic program at JMU. And there's stories of people that have excelled from every academic program, from a variety of academic programs at JMU, to highest levels in the federal government space. So we're also focused on developing a comprehensive database of industry participants. There's an official, we obtained official status as an alumni chapter. That was sort of step one. We started holding these events. We've done 4 of these events so far to bring together people in sort of a social setting in order to just foster connectedness. We started out this chapter with, I think the number was 4 people sitting around a table at a restaurant outside in DC to start this conversation a few years back. We're now up to 1,800 LinkedIn members tied to JMU federal dues. That just gives you an idea of the scale of participation. And we're just, and again, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. But it just gives you an idea that this is something that is of value to so many people who are playing a role in this market. And we have gone as far as recording GovCon training. Thank you, Lisa. We've gone as far as creating training programs to help people understand who look at the federal government as sort of a black box, we've produced training and experiences so that they can understand sort of the art of the possible in the federal government space and what it's all about. And last but not least, because it's covered up on my screen here, there we go. We're engaging faculty leaders with government industry skill needs. Now, we've been participating in COB career track when they bring kids up to the DC area. We have also posted government internships on LinkedIn. We have been able to determine that there are a tremendous number of paid internships in the federal government space that exist out there. Up to this point, there's never been a conduit to really look at those internship opportunities and bring that information back to the institution so that students have an opportunity to say, yes, I really want to understand this. I want to get paid during the summer to go do this. And yes, there are opportunities that exist to be able to do that. We know that those opportunities are there, and there's latent demand for students to take advantage of them. So these are all of the activities that we've gone, and again, these accomplishments for the 22-23 year for this particular group. So next up on our plate is really what we're looking at moving forward. What's execution? What are our execution priorities in 23, 24? So first of all, we got to bring engagement programs we got to develop engagement programs that bring together graduates and students. So we are really tactically working with the federal Dukes and each of the college representatives to understand what's needed. There's to use a term, the faculty have a specific pedagogy as to how they're teaching and what kind of information they're passing on. We're trying to integrate into that, really to drive our engagement. Matt Brown is leading that effort for us, but it is all about partnership and collaboration with faculty where they need it. We're engaging these leaders to be able to help them understand skill needs, internships, and grant opportunities. So it's not just, oh, these are the kind of things the federal government cares about. It's now also about, here are specific opportunities, funded opportunities, research opportunities that can support the whole ecosystem of higher education at JMU, as well as our stated goals about what we want to do in developing a community outside of JMU. And then creating an identity for JMU leading to jobs. And so we need to, one, support university research activities in a way so that there is a significant understanding of the vast capabilities of faculty at JMU. That's something we need to take advantage of. It helps faculty because, you know, of course, there's grant funding, it's additional income, and it's also tremendous visibility for JMU once you get involved in execution of grants, successful execution of grants in the federal government space. You saw what Johns Hopkins is doing. Granted, most of that's around public health research, but the federal government knows they can go to Hopkins for anything related to public health research grants. But you also see folks like UVA playing a role there. You see other institutions playing roles like Mason playing a role in technology and in policy in terms of research. These are all areas that JMU does and does well. We're also, as part of that effort, building a small business directory. That's what we want to be able to do this upcoming year. Because in order to execute these grants, there needs to be small business partners associated with the grant opportunities, not just a higher education institution. So what we're trying to do as part of our mission is really identify small businesses that want to play a role in these grants and do a little matchmaking with faculty at the university and these businesses so that there's an opportunity that not only supports the university, but also supports the small business in its efforts to grow through funding from these grants. So these are all things that we're very much focused on in terms of engaging and supporting the university in its research activities. And last but not least, in this plan year, we want to expand the forums that we have in place as part of expanding this network of JMU graduates. We're going to create an executive alumni forum that creates connectivity between senior leaders in federal government service and contractors so that we have a meeting of like minds and like experiences that actually can talk to each other and share experiences on how they've developed their companies or developed their careers. It also is a platform for us to help connect those senior individuals with students and faculty as well to share their insights, because that is extraordinarily important for us to continue to build our brand as a leader in this space. So We're moving forward in creating better connectivity with faculty for the sake of the students, better connectivity with the institution for the sake of not only the students, but also the faculty and alums. And last but not least, really driving to expand our network by including and bringing in senior leaders that have a JMU connection to help us build this brand of excellence in this space that we believe JMU should have. So this is our plan moving forward. We launched this in 2021. And again, I said like 4 people sitting around a table, really with the notion of creating the first professional alumni chapter. 2021, 22, we added program chairs, great talent onto our board that are taking us to this next step. And Lisa and Matt and Chris, I think, is on, and there may be others as well. They've all come in during that time frame and supersized our capability, and I want to thank them for their hard work and expertise. In 22 and 23, we are expanding our engagement. We have so far really done what we could to create linkages to the academic leadership at the university, and that has gone particularly well. And I want to thank those leaders at the university on the academic side for their openness and willingness to work with us. It has gone particularly well, and there's much more to come. And then 23, 24, we're going to grow these committees. We want to broaden the participation and drive sponsorship so that we get a significant amount of growth in the number of participants, but more importantly, definable, tangible impact during this 23, 24, 24, 25 timeframe. We want to, in the 24, 25 timeframe, mature our sponsorships and expand our funding so that we can do more. Our goal at the end of the day is to be able to look back and say, this group in partnership with the faculty and administration helped create a unique brand for JMU in a tremendous market opportunity, the federal government marketplace. So with that, in order to accomplish all of these things, we need help. We're only so many of us. And by the way, we have day jobs. Like I like to tell people all the time, JMU, I haven't seen a JMU W-2. So I really would love to, love to see us expand our team. It's exciting, it's fun, we've got great people, people get stuff done. That's one of the monikers of this particular group. We get stuff done. In order to do that, we need help. And so I'm going to turn it over to Lisa to talk a little bit more about how you might be able to help.
Sure thing. Thanks, Mike. So we're going to be talking about volunteer opportunities because, as Mike mentioned, this is a volunteer organization. And so we need your help. Let's talk about it. All right, so we have a couple that we're going to be going through as each committee chair sort of brings up their own needs, but here is a top level idea of volunteer opportunities. The first of which, Mike's been mentioning chairs. I'm the communication chair, we have our engagement chair, program chair, all sorts of opportunities for people to be on the board with this team. One of which that we are looking to develop in the next year that does not currently exist is a sponsorship and funding chair. We want somebody who is impassioned to do this sort of sponsorship garnering, the funding, finding opportunities, and they would be responsible for the establishment and oversight of a sponsorship program for various JFD revenue generating events, including defining levels of sponsorship, developing strategies for attracting new sponsors. We are starting at square zero for that. Maybe not zero, maybe we're like +2. But we definitely need somebody that wants to come in and say, I'm going to take ownership for this, and we can define our success metrics and move forward from there. We're going to be going through some of these in each of the committee chair lead slides, but for programming and events, we're looking for somebody that can be a master calendar holder, somebody that can coordinate a master schedule with us. people to help with speaker recruitments for our events, and event promotion coordination. Really, anybody that would like to assist on the programming and events side. Communications, social media, graphic development, document organization, content writing. I'll get into that when I get into my slide. University engagement, 7 college points of contact that we need to address, and then alumni engagement, DMV engagement, SWAT team to coordinate with organizations like the Metro Dukes and plan DMV networking events. We've seen a lot in the Q&A about, well, have you talked to these people, and what's the difference between Metro Dukes and the JMU Federal Dukes? And we know that there's overlap in our industry and in our area, and we want to partner with these people. So we need folks that will help us with that engagement. And then technology and social team to maintain our industry engagement. So I'm going to be taking over for Kevin Plexico right now because he's not on, but he is our programming and events chair. So for programming and events, he is really charged with creating programming and events opportunities that drive education, professional and career development, generate network engagement among JMU students, faculty, and alumni in the government market. So Kevin's success metrics are producing a minimum of 4 programs per calendar year. So he has done some virtual, some in person. Some of the recent ones that we mentioned before are things like the GovCon Small Business Webinar, GovCon CEO Roundtable, the GovCon 101 that I did. I dropped the link in the chat if you are interested. It is on our YouTube because we do have a YouTube page. And we've done some JFD happy hours as well. And it's been so wonderful to meet people at those events. Volunteer opportunities, as I mentioned, he's looking for someone to help build a master calendar and make sure that we can meet these success metrics and help with speaker recruitment and event promotion coordination. So then me, communications chair, Lisa Munt, I'm all about the social media and putting the information out there. Mike mentioned, we started as just a couple of people, and now our LinkedIn group does have approximately 1,800, like 27 people as a part of it. And that's been growing hand over foot. It's been awesome. But I would love people to assist me in that effort. So we're all about developing and implementing a strategy for outreach. I manage the Federal Dukes LinkedIn group, and I also manage the profile for the JMU Federal Dukes. So if that profile ever likes anything or posts anything, that's secretly me. Isn't that fun? And coordinating and writing alumni spotlight programs. I also dropped in the chat, if you are ever interested in being spotlit, so to speak, please fill in the form and it will go through our system and I will be able to put you through all of our channels. So my success metrics, promoting a minimum of 4 programs, 1 new post in LinkedIn per week, producing a minimum of 6 alumni spotlights per year, and helping grow the LinkedIn group by 10%, which I did achieve over this last year. It was great. And for me, I would love if anybody out there wants to help with social media graphic development. I am only so good with Canva. I was a SMAD major, but I wasn't a good SMAD major. I was a bad SMAD major. I double majored in writing and rhetoric, and that was really what I was interested in. So if there is anybody that wants to help with graphic development, social media content, if there's anything that we're not doing that we should do, let us know. And then also just helping us maintain all of our forms, files, and documents.
So, sorry, am I still on mute? No. So I just wanted to give Matt a chance. We can turn this over to you and let you talk about university engagement, and then we'll turn it over to Chris to more.
Lost you a little bit, Mike, but
Lost
Matt, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here,
Matt,
and
you
I'll take university engagement. So Matt Brown, I'm the university engagement chair with Federal Dukes, work with Lisa and Mike and Chris and team. In this role, university engagement is really to connect with the university. So anyone in the academic side of the equation, the alumni groups, anyone back at JMU with to connect the dots between JMU and the Federal Dukes themselves. That is kind of my role. Success metrics for this is coordinate 6 meetings with university stakeholders per year. We had a meeting on campus almost a month and a half ago now with all of the deans of the various colleges, which was a great meeting to introduce the benefits of Federal Dukes and how we could work together. Out of that meeting, there was an ask from the deans to have an individual point of contact for each of the deans with Federal Dukes to develop tactical ideas of how they can work together. So we talked about a couple of different ways we could interact. And each college had different ideas of what they need out of Federal Dukes. So in some colleges, it was working with the curriculum and how to align the curriculum with the types of jobs that are in the federal space. Some were internship opportunities for their students that they wanted to connect with businesses in the space for either internships or potential jobs when they graduated. Some were to connect the dots between certifications that are appropriate and then the curriculum that could drive some of those certifications that would be needed in the federal space, like MySpace Cyber. There's several cyber programs at the university, but they don't lead to some of the certifications that are required for some of the jobs that we have out there. So connecting the dots between those two things. Several deans talked about grant research opportunities for the faculty there, that they were looking for more grant or research projects and companies to work with on those research projects. So, another example of ways to connect. Some wanted guest speakers for their classes to come in, people from industry that could speak to specific tactical things that they were talking about or relate a concept that they're going through in the curriculum with an activity in the space to make it more real world for the students. Others wanted interviewing, like mock interviews or assistance with professional skills that would be necessary as they look into the market. One of the reasons we put the small business and the GovCon webinar together was to give students an idea of what it's like to work in a small business, what it's like to work in a large business, what it's like to work in a midsize, what it's like to work for the federal government. So they had a kind of a different picture as they're making career decisions about where they wanted to go, what to think about in each one. Anyway, each dean would like a single point of contact. Right now, it's myself and a couple members of the Federal Dukes Committee that are serving as those points of contact. I'd love to get 11 specific ones. So my ask for volunteers is folks that could help be a point of contact with the colleges. I can serve certainly as the advisor and help connect, what we could do and what are the options and facilitate the introductions. But I would love to have more folks help the actual engagement and day-to-day interaction with the deans and the colleges. So that is my big ask and what I could use in university engagement. Back to you, Mike.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Matt. Now we'll shift it over to Chris and John if they want to talk a bit more about alumni engagement. Chris, John?
Yeah, hey guys, it's Chris. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, so thanks so much for the time today. My name is Chris Richards on behalf of John Carr. We're managing really alumni engagement, which was really deemed to kind of be a social and professional mix to help really all the alumni start to connect with each other. And we'll talk about some of our success metrics, but probably the biggest update that we tackled this year with the leadership team was launching really a standalone brand and website, jmufederaldukes.com, which was approved by JMU directly with the Alumni Association. And really what we have a single source of truth for basically all of our information in a place that we could have one spot that anybody that wants to learn about us or get involved and engaged could go to. So was a big team effort this year. If you haven't seen it, please go out and take a look and browse around. And then we also work closely with Lisa and her team on comms to take all of the social properties that we had and kind of centralize them under one brand as well, so that we can use one avenue to promote. And it's really about channels to engage and have that single source of truth to publish everything there. So when we're talking about the master calendar, I know some of the other alumni groups struggle with this, is having 3 calendars out there, one on Facebook and one somewhere else. So we were like, what's working well out there, what isn't? And at the core of it, it was really taking a hard look at technology and saying, let's strengthen this and centralize it. So that was a big one for us this year that we're looking to really expand out on. And then we started really tackling, major events in this world, or, social media. We found, there's so much power in connecting with each other live. So we started with some networking events, and have really started focusing also on JMU sporting events, which are just fantastic. If you haven't been back to the university to take in a football game or a lacrosse game or a basketball game, or you name it, it is just a really amazing experience. And it also gives you time to connect with other alumni, and especially students, which is just so rewarding. So we've invested in that. We've made really strong relationships within JMU Athletics, who supports us greatly and has really looked to invest in our group to help us get all of you back there to take your families, meet with other alumni, and really experience a JMU that, frankly, in '95, when I was there, is not quite as robust of an experience. It's amazing if you haven't been back. So we will continue to do that throughout this year and the years coming up. And then, we had some KPIs and some success metrics that we worked on, John and I did with the team, which was, how can we be held accountable for things that kind of move the needle? So the first year was really that increase alumni membership. The team looked at LinkedIn to say, what's reasonable to help doing that? Those are goals that we achieved. And then working with Lisa and the team, also getting some of those alumni spotlights published. As any good leader would do, we had some failures, or let's call them challenges. Originally, we did have kind of that fun strategy in our bucket, and it is just it's a big task, and also takes somebody that kind of knows that world and is really passionate about that world. So as we headed into planning for the next year, it made sense with the leadership team to kind of take that out of alumni engagement and have a single leader that would be tasked with that we would then work closely with. So we're excited to help in that process, but we know that, our ability to outline clear goals for the funds that we would raise and the good that they would do is really critical for all of us to have success as an alumni base in this group. And then as we outline really next year, 2023 and 24, we found it really clear that we need to swim with and not against all the alumni groups, and especially Metro Dukes. But we want to expand that to all the alumni groups across the country. We do get feedback that, hey, I'm in Nashville, or I'm in Atlanta, I'm working at a military base here, I'm in the Coast Guard there. And what we want to do is start looking at folks that want to kind of be our Federal Duke SWAT team to help engage with Metro Dukes when they're having a golf tournament or they're having their barbecue mixers. That we can help support them, and then in turn find other Federal Dukes that can help support us across the country. So we're looking for engaged folks really at all places in their career. Candidly, we'd love some younger folks earlier in their career to help us with this as well, to help us build out really kind of that strategy, what those events look like. And then we are looking for all of you technologists out there to help just really round out our tech team, to help us with the website. Mike and the team has talked a lot about databases that are storing information that we're publishing, and all of these types of things. With our limited resources, we just need folks that really enjoy that technology, are able to help develop and publish and do those types of things with us, so that as we gather this information, we can securely share it, within appropriate forums. And then we are also looking at taking a look at really kind of a charity team, if you will, looking at something that all of us can do to kind of give back to our communities, especially in Harrisonburg and some places in the DMV. So we really want to brainstorm as a team on that, and then propose some options to the leadership team, and really give back to our communities as a broader group to help kind of do the most good, especially in Harrisonburg, if we can do it. So we're excited. We're doing a lot of fun things, a lot of engaging things. And if you're interested and have some passion, please put in an application, and we'll find a good spot for you. John and I will really enjoy working with you, and we appreciate your time today.
Great, Chris. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking us through that. Just again, I want to give kudos to all of our committee leads, Lisa, Kevin, Matt, Chris, John. They do yeoman's work, and and it's not like these folks don't have a W-2 job someplace else. They're senior leaders and they're change makers in the organizations that they're a part of right now. So really want to thank them for their hard work in getting us to this point. We also just wanted to touch on some upcoming events. Bear with me. So we don't have any specific dates for these, but there's some other events coming up in terms of an opportunity to connect with the Federal Dukes. We're going to be participating in the career track activities, and anyone who's willing or interested in participating in that would be great. And in early 2024, we're going to put together a seminar really focusing on some of these key issues that are affecting the marketplace. And AI is absolutely one of those key issues in terms of a technology that's leading edge and dealing in a space in terms of intelligence analysis that is could be significantly impacted by this whole concept of intelligent automation. So there are a couple of events that we have upcoming that we are going to keep you abreast of on our website. There's a lot of information that this team has been able to make available to you through that, and they've done a wonderful job of structuring it so that you can get to it quickly. I'd highly recommend that you take a look. So, call to action. This is really pushing at what we need from you, any interest that you have in terms of supporting our efforts. You've heard today all about what our plans are, what our strategies are, what progress we're making, and the impact that we think we can have, that we know we can have. So this is a great opportunity to participate. It is not a full-time job. It is not something that's going to impact what you do 9 to 5, but it is something that can have far-reaching impact on people that you touch. So in terms, there's a call for volunteers, November 17th, deadline to apply. That's when that is. Volunteers list closes for submission on 11/59 that day. Discussions with volunteers will then take place on December 1st. So if you're interested, we'll have an opportunity to sit down with you, review what's going on with your background and how it aligns, and at the same time, really talk to you about what the level of effort is and things like that, and make mutual decisions on moving forward. And then we want to announce new volunteers December 15th. So anyone who is interested in being a part of this, we just really would love for you to jump in and participate as a volunteer and be a part of this call for volunteers by November 7th. Really exciting. It's a lot of fun. We are engaged with the university at very high levels. So you get a chance to really give back and at the same time impact. And that's what kind of keeps us all juiced right now. So please take advantage, and we'd love to have you join us as part of our team.
And Mike, just to jump in and point out, Lisa posted that in the chat. So the link for that application questionnaire is in the chat, and we'll also post it on the LinkedIn group.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And like we've been talking about, we've got a presence. We have mechanisms for you to get connected and stay connected. We have our website, yeoman's job in pulling that together, and all of our social media infrastructure together by our teams. We have a direct email address, as well as, join in on the LinkedIn group. You'd be stunned and amazed at how many people are in this space that are a part of this LinkedIn community that you want to know might be useful to you in your career or business opportunities. But at a minimum, you'll find a lot of interesting folks that are a part of this federal government ecosystem. So with that, we have kind of reached the end of our presentation to you today. just follow along with us, help us as we pursue this mission. And I would love to hear any questions, thoughts that are that you have after this after you've heard this presentation. Anything that you put out there in the chat that we can respond to. There, at this point, I don't think we have any questions that we haven't already responded to. But if there's anything that you want to reach out to us on, we've given you lots of different channels. Please feel free to take advantage. So with that, again, I want to thank everybody for their time. I really want to thank this team for the level of effort. The entire leadership team has done a tremendous job in bringing this together. I also would be remiss if I did not mention that it was unfortunate today that we did not have our president, Anne-Marie Johnson, with us. She had a loss in her family and could not participate in today's call, but she has provided exceptional leadership to this organization and helping us get off the ground and moving. So with that, thank you very much, and hopefully you'll have a great rest of the day.